Hello, good morning. Welcome to Survive and Thrive with the Northwest Event Show. I am Kate Pate. I'll be your moderator today. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer of Pate Consulting and also the chairwoman for the Search Foundation, who happens to be our charitable partner for today. Again, we're with Survive and Thrive. This is the first of a four-part series that is brought to you by the Northwest Event Show. And we're excited. We have an amazing panel today that's going to talk to you about some tips and tricks of how we're getting through all of this right now. So get ready for some raw conversation. We're going to be real. You are invited. There is a chat box over here, so drop your questions in. We'll get to as many of those as we possibly can. I first want to thank a few sponsors for today that made this all possible. We all know our events all take great sponsors. So first one is Red Element Studios. They're doing this live stream for us. They have been absolutely fantastic to work with, and I actually look forward to working with them again. Project Bionic. They're doing all the social media today. So make sure that you're jumping online, you're sharing. If anything sticks out to you or you get a great nugget of information that you want to share, jump online, share that with everyone, and make sure you tag us in that. 425 Business and South Sound Magazine. Those are the media partners for today. Evo 3 Marketing. Can you guys see this? This awesome mug that they made for us? I got mine in the mail yesterday. It is co-branded. This was my favorite part of it. But those are on sale. You can actually purchase one. It's $50, and part of those proceeds go back to the Search Foundation. And I know you've heard me mention Search a couple of times now. I'm going to give you a brief rundown on what that looks like for you. The Search Foundation, it is for event professionals by event professionals. It actually stands for Special Event Assistance, Relief, and Crisis Help. And Search is a 501c3. All donations are tax deductible, and it's helping any individual that's in our industry in crisis. It doesn't matter if you're the CEO of a company or if you're a busboy. You are eligible to apply for funds directly from the Search Foundation. It started in 1997 as a 501c3. It really began at the height of the AIDS epidemic when we didn't know what was affecting all of our friends. And as an industry, we wanted to help our individuals, our friends in the industry that are in need. So it has been around for quite some time. You'll see us at all the major events, including Northwest Event Show, when we do everything in person and virtual with them. And any type of catastrophic occurrence for an individual, Search can help with. So whether you lose your home in a wildfire, if there's a flood, an earthquake, if you get diagnosed with cancer or scarily enough with COVID, you can apply for funds from the Search Foundation. So make sure you check out searchfoundation.org. And if you're able to give, we do have a text to give today. All you have to do is text NWES for Northwest Event Show to 44321. There is a box that you can click to donate or simply go to searchfoundation.org. And we do have a great Search 100 program that 100% of the proceeds go directly to the Crisis Relief Fund. It is all run by volunteers, so everything you donate goes right back to our industry friends that are in crisis right now. So if you have any other questions, you can always reach out to me direct, or again, go to searchfoundation.org. I want to jump in and I want to start introducing some of these amazing panelists today, because I know that's the reason you're all here. You want to get to meet them. I am going to look down at my notes because they're such a dynamic team. I don't want to miss anything about any single one of them. So the first one I'm going to bring up, my dear friend, Angela Shen, CEO and founder, Savor Seattle Food Tours. Oh my goodness, happiest girl ever right here. It's one of my favorite things in life. Any food tour you put me on. She is a self-proclaimed food evangelist, and I completely agree. She likes eating, shopping, and cooking. So hi, same girl. Love that part of it. Lived in Chicago for a while, did brand management with Quaker Oats. She came back to Seattle. So loves seafood, wine, artisan cheese that's local. You are absolutely a local with all of that. 13 years in Seattle now, Puget Sound's 40 Under 40, Seattle Tourism Ambassador, sits on the Visit Seattle Board of Directors. She's been on CNN Travel. She was the Queen of Seafair in 2017. I love that. Is there a wave that you should do for Seafair Queen? She enjoys in her spare time laughing with her two children, sweating it out in HIIT classes. I've not done a single one since all this started, by the way. Sushi, tacos, and red wine, again, my girl all the way. And fun fact, you have a new house that has a pasta spigot right over the stove, so you no longer need to fill those heavy ones. I love that. Well, thank you for being here today, Angela. Our next panelist, Andrea Long, Firewood Events and Twilio. She is so fantastic. She's joining us today from the Bay Area. She is a California native, UC Davis alumna, event planner, health and fitness enthusiast, experience in events from conferences, galas, weddings. You really do it all. As we got to know each other and talk more about this, your background's fantastic. I love it. Global marketing manager, recruiting events and partnerships at Twilio. That sounds like a huge role. I'm sure that is. And you head up the diversity partnership strategy. So the end-to-end execution of global employer branding events, the Twilio After Hours, the Twilio Unplugged, all the recruiting conferences, the internal inclusion events. I'm dying to hear more about those. I think a few people here probably are. And you did the branding, marketing, and events for the recruiting team at Lyft. Again, huge background here. I love this. Your favorite quote: "The key to a successful event is to provide unique and memorable experiences. Everyone feels like they belong, no matter how they identify." And that is from you direct. That is fantastic. I love that. Thank you for being with us today. Here is our virtual hug, Mark Dice Ryan. Thank you for being here. He's a partner with Y for Good, marketing communication agency, and 206 Inc., Y for Good. Oh my gosh, you work with some incredible, incredible people, some nonprofits that are in the area and beyond, and your background again. So working with Dreaming Big with Russell and Sierra's foundation, Why Not You? That's incredible. I love that side of it. Your passions in doing good work. We need more Marks in the world, by the way. I love that side of it. Every client and project has a purpose, and your shift really was, you talk this up, you do press for different types of nonprofits and help them to get word out there, but it's not just needing the press release or designing the ad. You really partner with them to make sure that they connect with their goals and their target audience, and the people that they help get the help that they need. So that's so fantastic. I love that side of it. Plymouth Housing, Seattle Dances, you raised $1 million for the city's chronically homeless, and you served as Seafare's King Neptune. Was there a wave for that one too? Oh, I love it. I knew you wouldn't disappoint me. Fun fact, Mark used to be a firefighter at EMT, so you really know what's going on right now with everything. We're going to pick your brain about that a little, my friend. And that brings me to our final panelist today. Last but certainly not least, my goodness, Mr. Anthony Anton. He's the president and CEO of the Washington Hospitality Association. He came back to the association in 2004 after a brief stint managing a small company, you may have heard of it, called Boeing, their state relations for all of Washington. He marshaled the industry's efforts to support legislation, increase the grassroots advocacy efforts. You are the man we need fighting on our side. We are so fortunate to have you as part of this. His family's been in the restaurant for 70 years, so I'm sure you and Angela will play off each other a little bit on the foodie side of things with that. The Washington Hospitality Association has had its highest retention and member satisfaction rates in history with you at the helm. That is such a great accomplishment, so fantastic. And don't worry, there's no media that's going to pick on you today. We're just here to have some great conversation and see what our industry is up to and how we can best serve them. And it sounds like you are a great advocate for our industry, and we're excited to have you today. So thank you for joining us, sir. So we're going to Thanks. We're going to jump right in and start asking some questions of these amazing panelists. Going to remind y'all, you make sure your mics aren't muted for it. But, Northwest, the U.S., there is a lot of crisis right now. We are, with the punches just keep coming, I feel like, one after the other. Starting in February, March, we get hit with COVID, everything in between. Half of you guys had murder hornets, and now we've got these fires ravaging across everything right now. So, what's that look like where you are? I'm gonna go to our virtual hug. Mark, how's it going up there in Seattle?
It's an interesting day today. I think of all days, this is supposed to be one of the smokiest days. You mentioned my time as a firefighter, and it's definitely, I'm an emotional guy, and it really touches my heart, a lot of things that are happening in Oregon, Washington, Northern California. And so it's a challenging time. It's a challenging time for all of us, right? I mean, it doesn't mean that we put our head down and go into deep depression, which could easily be, but with COVID and racial inequities and economic crisis and an election year like never before, wildfires and smoke. In Seattle, we had the West Seattle Bridge that's now been closed because it was going to collapse. Pier 58 just collapsed. I mean, it's an ongoing saga of a lot of crazy things that are happening. And I'm not a parent to children who needs to teach from home as well. So there's a lot of things that are coming at us and against us. And I think the key here is to stick together. Trying to do these things on our own is an incredible challenge. And so, for me, every day is a new day, and I thank God for that, because by the time I hit about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and everyone knows this, it's just kind of like dunzo. So, I have two lists of things that I want to accomplish each day. The first one is bare bones, small victories. And the second is I'm on a roll and really feeling it, and we'll call it extra credit. So, that's part of it. And then I think the other part is our team. We have daily check-ins and doing fun things around our team. I think the racial injustice, racial equality, putting together that action plan for our team was incredibly healthy as well. So I think there's a lot of great, healthy things we can be doing together, and it's okay for us all to be feeling the feelings that we're feeling as well.
We don't have a roadmap for this. That's the one thing I keep hearing throughout, and we just keep discussing is none of us have been given a roadmap on how to deal with this, whether that's in business, in relationships, in your personal life. We're building this plane as we fly, basically. So, the survive and thrive, while it's one topic we're talking about today, it really is two different ones. And you're allowed to feel both. Like you were saying, you basically have a survive list, and you have a thrive list that you're going to accomplish. And if you just get through the survival one, that's fine. You give yourself the grace, you smile, you move on, and the next day you accomplish something else. And I think that's important that we all remember. I love your approach to it and how you embrace this side of things that we don't really have a choice but to embrace right now. You're finding that silver lining. That's so
That's right.
fantastic.
I laughed the other day because I've always wanted to play the guitar. And so, with all these emotions happening, I finally just got online and says, "Do anybody know somebody that can teach me guitar?" And within 24 hours, I had a guitar, I had a teacher, and I have my second lesson tomorrow afternoon. So away we go.
So that was the Thrive Day. I'm definitely going to chalk that
That
down
was
as
the
a Thrive
Friday.
Day. Well, let us know when you're going to play the first song. I would like to be there on that Zoom call with you for it. The survive and thrive thing. I want to touch on that real fast with Andrea because she's down in a separate area. You're down in San Francisco. You're also ravaged with fires, smoke coming in through the area, and you deal a lot in your business with the diversity and inclusion side of that. What are you doing to survive through all of this and help get word out?
Definitely. The work that I do, like you said, sort of transcends industries. I consider myself an event planner, but also a marketer and a diversity and inclusion professional. And so with that, obviously we have a lot of natural disasters, and climate change is causing fires, and we are all experiencing that, especially on the West Coast right now. But in addition, we have such a challenge with racial inequities, which Mark touched on slightly. And so I think it's really important that for me personally, to be able to survive and thrive during this time, being able to balance work and life and really separate them has been honestly the only way that I've gotten through. I've had a lot of emotional days. I've had days where I go to work and I have to be off video because I was crying and my eyes are swollen. And I've had days where I have learned so much, and I've learned a new skill in this virtual setting. I have learned, how to do polling, or how to create virtual backgrounds, or things that weren't necessarily the focus of my business when we were in person. So I think the balance has been really important to me, and really the way that I have been able to survive.
Mm-hmm. Have you had any major business pivots or things you're proud of with either Twilio or with your personal business that have really gotten you through all of this?
Yeah, I'm definitely proud of being able to use our events to provide resources to underrepresented communities. And so this is really where it's key in the difference between not being racist and being anti-racist. That's really the difference, where you're taking action when you're anti-racist. You are actively using your privilege to help someone who is maybe not doesn't have those same privileges as yourself. So being in the position of privilege at a tech company, also having my own business, being able to use those resources to help job seekers have the tools to interview successfully in a virtual world, or being able to teach folks how to leverage their resumes or LinkedIn correctly and how to network virtually. So I think it's really important. I'm really proud of the work that my team has done in regards to being able to offer these educational resources and tools to our audiences through our virtual events.
I love that. I've been excited to follow along and learn more about that as we've connected. So thank you for all of your efforts and everything that you do. We do have a question that came in, and people want to know exactly what we're all doing to stay positive. So is there one thing that you could tell people on those days that you just do want to cry and you're allowed to feel all of the emotions? How do you just get through this, and what do you do to stay positive and come out of that funk, basically?
Yeah, it's a tough question for me because I'm definitely not an optimist. So I would say that therapy has been very helpful. I know it's a little taboo and we don't necessarily always talk about it, but being able to have that sort of person that is not necessarily in your everyday life to be able to talk through things and really experience and make some realizations that you might not be able to make on your own has been helpful for me to really see the light.
No, and I love that you bring it up. And therapy shouldn't be a taboo topic. If you need help, if you need to hear, a different perspective, I think sometimes our friends and people can be almost an echo chamber to us, and they're too kind to tell us what they really think. So having someone that'll just tell it like it is, I am all for that all day long. So good for you for bringing that part of it up. I want to know from Angela what she's been doing. She has such a positive attitude. You had an incredible pivot, but first give me that one positive. How do you, every day wake up and smile and find something good in that day?
I mean, having two little kids, I have an 8-year-old son and a 9-year-old daughter. That's kind of the best way for me to wake up in the morning is like they'll come crawling into bed and they're just so cuddly. And so just taking 5 minutes at the start of every morning and then at night too, before their bedtime routines start, is just having that snuggle time because, I think about the world that they're growing up in right now is so crazy. And my job is to, make them feel safe and secure. And so it's hard to not get lost in that big world out there when we're stressed out. But, taking it down to their level, I really try to look at it from their lens and make them feel good. And so if I can do that, it also makes me feel better too, right? And so, yeah, that's my favorite way of reminding myself that there's still a lot of good in the world because kids they haven't been jaded yet. So it's good to try to protect that bubble
for as
in
long
as
as
many ways as we
possible.
can. Yes.
No, you're
So,
absolutely correct. I love that side of it. But you had an awesome pivot. Will you tell us about what happened with Savor Seattle and when all this started happening, where you went with it? I think it's an awesome story to tell people and give them some hope that no matter what that business is, because yours was such a hands-on in person that then we weren't allowed to do, but you've made it wildly successful and diverse and inclusive throughout it all. So take it away.
Sure. In a nutshell, Savor Seattle prior to COVID was in the business of operating food tasting tours on foot. So we would take people throughout Pike Place Market, different restaurants in Seattle, give them a progressive experience through the lens of our stomachs. Obviously, COVID hit and we couldn't take people to restaurants and nobody was traveling. So we were pretty much wiped off the map overnight. And hemorrhaging refunds, just like everybody in the private event space. We had over $200,000 in revenue booked on the books. And so those were very quickly being refunded. And so we decided we would change things up. And instead of bringing people to these places, we would instead bring it to people's doorsteps directly. So every week we curate what we call an iconic market box that features 9 different eats and treats from Pike Place Market, including a bouquet of fresh market flowers, CSA-style produce box from Frank's Quality Produce, and we donate $5 of every box to benefit the Market Foundation, helping residents and merchants that are kind of really struggling with the economic impact from COVID. And so you mentioned, we've really expanded recently into outside of Pike Place. And it's a crazy time right now in the world that we're living in, as Mark was talking about. So, we had launched to support in our small way, a box called the Seattle Solidarity Box that featured Black-owned businesses in the Seattle area donating proceeds to the Black Lives Matter Fund. And most recently, this week, we're doing a Hispanic Heritage Box that's featuring Latinx makers in the Seattle area, benefiting Casa Latina. And any orders that come in until midnight tonight, we're actually doing an additional $5 donation to the Wildfire Relief Fund. Because it's just, these are crazy times. And so whatever we can do to do our small part, we're going to try, because we are in it together. And,
I love that.
Pretty sure all of us are ready to put a close on 2020.
Oh, I'm going to put up my tree and just call it a year at this point. And it is no small part. It's all of these small pieces that add up to something big and beautiful and amazing. It is all of us coming together to do that. So I love that you are ahead of all of it. And the minute you hear that someone needs your help, that you're out in front of it all. So kudos to you and to Savor for being so forward thinking on that side. I'm going to go back to that question about staying positive, and I'm going to jump over to Anthony for that one. I want to hear how he's staying positive, and I think that especially with his role, he should definitely touch on politics and religion and all of those important things that you love to discuss publicly. I wouldn't put you there. I'm kidding.
On the specific question on positive, that has been a challenge, because I think my team I would say that I'm an extremely positive person, and most people on my board would say that. And I think it's a mindset I just have to choose. That how I'm going to feel today is going to be a choice, and this is going to be a great day, damn it, and we're going to do this, and we're going to figure this out. To the point, I've actually gotten some criticism from some in the industry, because while I'm recognizing the challenges the industry has, my positivity may feel like I'm not being sensitive to those who have just lost everything, and the fact that we are going to lose a tremendous number of our state's restaurants, event companies. We've got 150,000 people at the height of this lost their jobs in our industry alone. To put that in comparison to the Great Recession, we lost 15,000 jobs in the Great Recession at the height of it. So literally 10 times worse than the Great Recession in a matter of weeks. And now we're talking about this going on. And so I've had to temper my, damn it, I'm choosing to be great, with how people are feeling and the sensitivity of their losing it all. And I've had to watch my balance a little bit. But I got to tell you, for me, in the things we're facing, I can't slide too far back, because the challenges are real. The things we're facing are not going away, and I think you have to face them directly. I don't think we can turn from them or wish them away. And I think we have to focus on the things that are truly, truly important, and just flat out believe that we're going to do it. I think two of my favorite books. Well, I'll specifically talk to one. Good to Great's one of my favorite leadership books, and it talks about the Admiral Stockdale when he was captured. I believe it was in Vietnam, and he was in a prisoner of war camp for years. And they're like, how did you get through that? How did you have that mindset? It's like, you just need to believe you're going to survive it. You just need to have that core absolute thing of, we're going to figure this out. And I think to some degree that's kind of inspired me to say, we're going to figure this out. Yep. Here's our abrupt realities. Yes, they're difficult. And we are a great dynamic industry that came up with how to sell a $4 coffee, and really brought in the Northwest, brought Asian cuisine to the rest of the country, and fusion, and so many great creative things, and so many of our operators do brilliant things. We face tough odds all the time. And so now, hopefully, the last 15 years of being in a tough industry has now prepared us to get through, hopefully, the toughest time we'll face in a lifetime. So let's choose our mindset. I think our teams are looking to us to say, is our leaders believing in themselves and believing we're going to get through this, or are they down, mad, angry, spitting at the world? Because then they'll start reflecting our behaviors as well. So it's a tough choice to make, but I think we have to make the choice that this sucks and we're going to get through it, and tomorrow will come.
Hmm. I love it. And I say all the time, leadership isn't easy, even when it's good, let alone when it's hard times like this. So to stand up and be a leader, whether it's a thought leader or an actual leader of your team, that speaks volumes. And I don't think it's a naivety, which I've been told that I'm not paying attention to things at times. I'm absolutely paying attention, and I am choosing to see the good side. I like to say it's a cautious optimism, because we have to get through. And there's enough people that are in a negative spot that we need the positivity to pull them all forward with us. Because I think, was it Mark that said it when we first jumped on, that he talked about the whole positive side of it and being that cheerleader for it all, and we're stronger together. We need the positive ones out there. They're going to grab everyone by the bootstraps that's sad and down that day and be like, come on, let's move forward, let's do this. So I'm all about that cautious optimism side and finding our way out, because it is a tough time for all of us. Mental health, anyone have a tip on mental health or something that you're doing for that personal balance side, not just your work part of it?
I can jump in.
Yay!
Woo! Surprise. A few things. First of all, I think we all have this top of mind. The news. Okay? The news. Be careful with the news. Personally, for me, I do 30 minutes of national news in the evening because I at least want to know what's going on. And I do 30 minutes of local news in the evening. And I will admit that I need to be careful, very careful during the day, of how often I check my phone, how often I check social media, how often I do those sorts of things, because that becomes a distraction. I also just want to throw out this is a little on the woo-woo side, but it is true to me. And that is, love is letting go of fear. There is no way for us to be creative unless we are in the space of love. If we're in the space of fear, we can't have that creativity. So I always have that top of mind as well. And then some of the things that I've done, I got a new puppy. I told you about the guitars, and done some gardening. And the other thing that I think about every day, and I try to do once a day, is a random act of kindness that doesn't get me attention, but it just does something for my soul. And that is like making a small donation to a food bank or a kids organization or an animal or something to that nature. So that's what works for me.
I love that. You need to have the work-life balance. We do need to turn that off at times and have boundaries. Andrea, you were talking about some boundaries you have with your consumption of media. Do you want to touch on those real quick?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's important to stay educated and informed, but also for me, the media is quite triggering and causes a lot of anxiety. So I'm very selective and similar to what Mark said, in when I watch, what I watch, and how much I watch of it, whether it's reading the news online or following various activists on social media, for example. I think for me, it's really important to be able to turn that off or turn it on when I am ready for it.
Mm-hmm. No, I love that side of it, and I've learned to control my social media consumption, because I'm the one that gets insta pissed when I see someone share an article that they didn't research or even click on. It's just a sensational headline, and you're like, "Come on, you didn't read that first." So, I've definitely learned that me voicing my opinion on someone else's post isn't going to change minds, and it's better for my mental health to just not even bother on that side. I love it. Do you have any tips on your media consumption, Mr. Positivity, and finding the silver lining and bright side? How do you have to stay on top of it, it's your job, but how do you not fall down that negativity?
Again, coming back to that Stockdale paradox, right? Of we have to face the realities, and for me, I have to face the reality that in August the virus was spiking, and while businesses were putting risk and solutions were getting further away, we had to say, all right, how do we unite to defeat the virus and focus on that, and not let the other things go, and we had to recognize what was occurring. So I think you have to, again, I'm going to come back, you start with that principle of saying, what are we going to do? Let's focus on the critical. I think is another key thing that I've had to do during COVID is here's what we're trying to accomplish. Here's what we're trying to do. Let go of the white noise and focus on that. And yes, I wish I could get away from the news, but I think part of my reality is I do stay away from social media because I had an editorial in the Seattle Times. I think that was last week, and I didn't read any of the follow-up comments because I'm like, you know what, I posted what I needed to say. I believed in what I had to say, and then I'm just going to let that stand because I didn't want to go down to the rabbit hole of trying to respond to angry people or other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had to keep the news in front of me. And so again, coming back to that Stockdale paradox of absolutely believing we're going to figure this out. We are a great dynamic industry.
Mm-hmm.
And all right, what news do we need to have so we can deal with the things we have to deal with and accomplish our priorities today? And it sounds simple, but I think sometimes the hardest things are simple. And just keep your focus just razor sharp right there would be how I'm doing it. Whether it's the right way to do it or not, I'm sure there's a good debate, but that's how we're trying to get through it.
I love that side of it, staying educated, staying on top of it. We have a lighter question. Someone wants to know from you, Angela, do you ship to South Carolina?
We ship to all the states. Yeah. So we do offer, we will actually for the holiday season even have a whole suite of different Seattle themed assortments. So actually just today I finalized what we're going to call the Seattle Party Box. And so we're tying into a lot of virtual fundraising events that are happening this fall. And so everybody's taking their in-person events virtual now, and all the fundraising galas, it's like food has always been a great way to get people together and celebrate and then open their pocketbooks. And so that's a little bit harder to do virtually. So we've come together and figured out how to deliver locally, ship nationally, and then work with, figuring out how to get alcohol to people too, because that's, pretty important part of the fundraising process.
Right.
So adult
Loosens up the
hydration.
credit cards.
That's right.
Credit cards are always more fun that way. We had a good
Yeah.
friend who's out in Boston who started doing local deliveries with it. You can order little spritz kits since everyone loves their Aperol spritzes and have those delivered with your dinner. It's enough for 4. So I love seeing how everyone's pivoting and doing something different. Mark, what is a cool digital pivot, something that you've done differently business-wise that has really helped you to survive and thrive through all of this?
Well, it was interesting this morning. I hadn't even really taken the time to go through our list of clients and how what we're going through has affected all of our clients, and it's pretty mind-boggling. I will say that we are the agency that works with Seattle Pride. So Pride is in the month of June, and we are one of the largest Pride festivals in the country. 250,000 people downtown for the parade, on and on and on. And it's a festival where people come together, not go apart. So we had to quickly pivot from everything coming together to coming together online virtually. And it was an incredible challenge with a tremendous group of people at the Seattle Pride Organization and GSBA and all of the different organizations. And we had entertainment, special speakers, informative, education, and it was a tremendous, tremendous success. And it was fun to watch. We were using a platform. It was fun to watch like 10 registrants, 40, 400, 4,000, 12,000. And so that was a tremendous success for us. The other one that I wanted to mention is I work with an artist. Her name is Catherine Meyer. It's the Catherine Meyer Foundation. And she had created an app. It's a mindfulness app for kids that had been used in schools. So kids do some breathing exercises and then they do creativity with art through that. So we were preparing in the fall to launch in 10 Seattle elementary schools. As you can imagine, that went to the wayside. So instead of doing that, we decided to launch it through the App Store. We did a little redevelopment and redesign, launched it on the App Store. that's now free. And we made it free to parents, caregivers, kids, and teachers online. It's called the Laugh app, Let Art Unleash Great Happiness. So that was one that pivoted real nicely. And then we just put it up for free on the site. So
I love that one.
yeah.
I know that the social media team here is keeping track of everything that's being mentioned, so we can post that all later on the page. But that definitely needs to be part of it, as does the link so that we can all order our Seattle holiday box, because I am all over that one for sure. Any digital pivots from the Washington Hospitality Association? Is there something interesting or unique or new that you've launched or you've done that you're proud of with this?
Yeah, I think it's been a lot digital, and it's been very interesting. We've kind of been stuck in these two worlds in our industry. We've got a generation still owning restaurants and hotels that are on the older generation that still like a magazine and a newspaper and that tangible thing to read. And yet the growing amount of our membership said, why are you sending me a magazine? Just can't you put all this online? Can't you do it this way? Why do I need to attend a meeting? Can't I just go virtually? So we have this two worlds. And I think COVID just caused us to rip the Band-Aid and say, this was coming anyway. We're going to focus on the digital side. I think it reflects now the vast majority of generations still in the workforce. And we'll try to bring others along, but we're going to rip the Band-Aid. And the two areas I think where you see that the most, we actually started a COVID web page. The news, the information, the regulations, the safety, the promotional posters really became a point where you couldn't organize the information anywhere else but online, and you almost needed a dedicated site with dedicated buckets to make sense of it. And that site started getting several thousand downloads and hits a day from people downloading posters to say wear a mask, save my business, to downloading what the different regulations are for. Do I have to have people register when they come in my place, or what do I have to do in that area? And so, and that really became then a challenge of there was so much information, even on one website. How do you make it available so people can find what they need in 2-3 steps? And so we really had to pivot for that. Another area is we gave up our magazine. So we've been doing a magazine or a newsletter for the better part of, probably the 20s, right? Whatever, forever. And we decided that we're going to go online. And so we started doing webinar Wednesdays, and then cutting that up into smaller bits for YouTube. So if you just wanted to hear the state of the industry this month, you could watch that 5-minute part, or if you wanted to hear the interview that I had on that, or if we had a legal expert, we could cut up their legal answers into different YouTube things. And so really starting with one YouTube or one webinar, and then turning that into 6 or different pieces of digital information that people could consume differently. Whether it was taking the legal webinar, turning it into a one-pager people that can go download, or turning it into YouTube, or just posting the whole thing so people can watch it 30 minutes at a time. And those have been tremendously popular. And then lastly, trying to organize the industry in town halls. And so to keep the industry connected, they used to be able to walk across the street and said, hey, how you dealing with this, right? Or we used to be able to, we're hospitality by nature, right? We're social people. We love each other. We want to know what's going on. We don't have a lot of introverts in hospitality. And so we've had town halls, and like in Clark County, Washington, we've had 65, 70 operators on every week, finding out what's going on, finding out what people are doing, asking how people are handling this stuff. And so trying to provide community virtually. And we're not doing it all perfect, but we are experimenting in every way we know how to keep the industry informed and feeling a part and feeling like they're not lost in their kitchens as they're really struggling to survive.
Oh, I love that. I love that you're breaking it up in different ways for people to digest in the way that they best receive information, whether that's digitally through Zoom calls and town halls and meetings, or if they're the ones that like to read it and kind of go through the website and pull and extrapolate that info on their own. So I think it's great because I'm sure all of us on this call want to digest our information in a different manner. So that you're touching on all of those is huge. There's another question that came through. This one's putting me on the spot this time. Goodness. It says, how do you honestly handle how to confront touchy subjects like politics, COVID through your social platforms as an industry influencer? Wow, everyone is going raw. We just dove right in for all of this side of things. Handling touchy subjects, one, I don't think I'm ever afraid to talk about them. I will go there, I will say those words, I will answer those questions every single time. I think we need more people that are willing to do that and willing to, like you had said, Anthony, about you just said what you had to say and here's why you believe it, and then you just let it be. I'm kind of the same way with mine. I'm going to put it out there. I educate myself on every possible option and angle of the subjects. I do listen to other people's opinions and experts, and I'm not the expert at everything as much as event people we all think that we are. I do like to listen to different feedback and viewpoints and then form my own opinions, and I stay true to those. I think that's the biggest part of social media is staying true to yourself and who you are and best representing your business, our industry as a whole. I see us doing a great job with that. All four of you have come up with great ways. I mean, there's 12 million in our industry that are out of business right now that we're trying to figure out how do we either A, get them back to work, or B, help support them through all of this until they can go to work again. So it's that speaking up and not being afraid to take a stand in my opinion. What about you guys? Is there anything touchy subject wise? Go girl, I see you raising your hand.
I mean, the amount of hate mail that we got when we announced that we were launching a Seattle Solidarity Box in support of Black-owned businesses here in Seattle was devastating. Like, I couldn't believe the people that came out of the woodwork that just blasted us. And you know what? Like, we immediately just unsubscribed all those people from our newsletter. We're like, these are not the kind of customers that we want in our ethos. And I think that this was a great opportunity for us in this crisis to really take stock of what it is that, you know, we believe in and what does our company stand for and who are we for. And I realized, like, you know, our mission is to serve joy. Obviously, how we're doing it now, very different than before, but more than that, I feel like our ability to make a bigger impact, because we realize fully now that we have a platform, like we are amplifiers for underrepresented voices in our community. And we're just going to shout that loudly and proudly and just leverage our platform because our customers care about small business. Our private event clients, they care about supporting small business and the fight for racial justice and these minority groups and female-owned businesses. I mean, this is so important. And so I realize now that more than ever in this time of crisis, who we are and who our customers are, like, it is far and away the most important thing when we think about what we're doing every day. And that is keeping us super focused on those hard days. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Oh, and those people online that aren't.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to add on there. I think it's really important to take a stance, right? So, Angela, what you said in regards to, like, this doesn't align with our ethos, so we're not going to participate in it. So having that stance, Kate, you talked about educating yourself and really looking at different perspectives and viewpoints. I think it's really important as well. And something that I personally have experienced on social media, specifically like LinkedIn and Facebook, are what to do when I see others with alternative perspectives. I immediately want to unfriend them or unconnect with them, but I kind of second guess myself, and I don't, because I also want them to see my perspective, right? Like, I want them to not be in their own ethos of only seeing people who have similar viewpoints to them. And I think it's important for me, even though I disagree with them, to see what others think of.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think she froze a little bit. There
Sorry about that. So yeah, I was just saying, I think it's really important for us to sometimes not just X out of folks with different opinions, but really have a dialogue or just be aware of what others think.
I love that side. It's so easy to go in and just unfriend, block. And so my kind of rule of thumb on that, if you're downright cruel, I am blocking you. That's just all there is to it. If you're just a horrible human being, you are absolutely gone from my page. But if you just have a differing opinion or viewpoint, I'm okay with that. Like you said, I might not like it, but that's who you are. So you're allowed to own that side. Anyone else have any of the keyboard warrior side of things like that that you've had someone come after you at all?
Interesting. I'll go.
Mm-hmm.
We launched a statewide mask campaign. Save a job, wear a mask. Wear a mask. I'm sorry, we put it the other way. Wear a mask, save a job. Wear a mask, save small business. Wear a mask, save Main Street. Because we wanted to put it on the positive side, not the negative side of, same thing of like save a dolphin, don't pollute kind of thing. Let's save these things that we love. We love the character that all these small businesses bring our communities and everything, and you can help that by wearing a mask. We want to put it in the positive. And when we were putting that campaign together, there were people like, we can't say that in Eastern Washington. They don't want to wear masks. And that's negative. And, I think you just kind of have to push through that. We saw that masks work. We know that they work. And I get that there's always the 5% of people who will always be different, but that shouldn't stop us from choosing to do the right thing and pushing it to do it out there. And you take in the information, you review the science, and then you choose who you are and who you are and your principle, and you stick to it. And so we went out and we did the mass campaign. We did do radio advertising and pushes in Central Eastern Washington because we wanted to get those restaurants open too. And you walk away from the negatives and say, I respect they have a different opinion. It's not mine, and this is who I am, and I'm moving forward. And you do have to turn it off.
And it has to be interesting for you too, while you're talking on that side of it, that you have so many different demographics to cover as far as it's not only Seattle, but it is Eastern Washington. It is different areas that the demographic is not the same. It's harder to distance in a compact downtown region than it is like I'm up in Reno, Tahoe. I have all the airspace in the world. Granted, you can't breathe it in right now, but we have all the space in the world, and that's so drastically different. And you can't always make every single person happy, but you need to do the best with the information that you have. So I love that you're taking the positive side approach to that. What was the... Go ahead.
No, and you are right, is that even in the Washington area, Seattle is so different than Renton, Federal Way, and Bellevue. It's not even Eastern Washington and Clark County and Bellingham and then out on the coast. I mean, within King County, you feel like you're in completely different cultures or political beliefs by going 35 minutes south and hour and a half south in traffic. And so you just have to choose the right thing to do. You have to be sensitive to how you do it. We established PR networks so people could take that core message and make it right for their community. And so we have PR people from Tri-Cities and from Spokane and from the coast and in Seattle saying, here's the core message. Here's what we have to talk about to save this great industry and save all this creativity. But take this and adjust it so it fits best for your community and make it go from there.
And I stand behind the decisions that our leadership has made, like the Hospitality Association and people that are trying to do the right thing to get us back to business. I read the quote early on through all of this, something, and I'll butcher it a little bit, but along the lines of, we'll never know if we underreacted, but we'll certainly, or if we overreacted, but we'll certainly know if we underreacted. And as soon as I heard that, that kind of stuck with me. And that's been the mantra throughout, is I'd rather do the right thing and go a little extra to try and help protect everyone versus not acting quickly or swiftly or strongly enough about something. So that's great that you guys are on board with that. Quick question that just came through. They want to know, what does Twilio do? Will you give us your elevator pitch, please?
Absolutely. So for us non-technical folks, and that's me making an assumption, so apologize to any of you event people who are also technical. I am not. The best way to explain it is by giving you an example. So if you have ever called a Lyft or an Uber, or if you have ever gotten a message from Nike or Nordstrom saying your delivery is on its way, or 1-800-Flowers, the message that you've gotten saying your car is arriving soon, your delivery is coming, is powered by Twilio. So Twilio is a cloud communications app where developers can use our APIs to build functionality and to build communication with their customers via SMS, MMS, which are both fancy word for text messages, email, and voice. So we, even as new employees of the company, have to build our own application. So I built a number that you can text and get a random recipe to cook for dinner. So it's all about sort of automated communication.
I like that side. Automated, but it doesn't feel cold when you do it. You're definitely finding that good balance. A quick question for each of you, so I'll have you think on it real fast, because someone wants to know, what social media account do you follow to stay positive? So I'll start to give you a quick second to think on it, since I had a minute to read the question first. There's one that I watch called Sanctuary Oak Harbor. It's obviously up on Whidbey Island, and they do every Monday. It's a Monday Minute, and they just give you a really quick outline overview of something to stay positive. The first one I ever saw talked about anxiety and how to overcome that, and they just give you these little snippets. So that's my go-to. What about you, Mark?
I think I'll get smiles from whoever is on the other end watching this right now. Tabitha Brown, baby. Tabitha. She is a hoot. She is filled with love. And Leslie Jordan is another one who is quite hysterical, and both of them extremely positive people. I actually end my evening with those two people.
I love that. That's so fantastic. Angela, what about you? What's a positive one you follow?
I mean, actually, to be honest, my feed is like 98% food related. So generally speaking, that's very positive, and that's all I look at are pictures of food, occasionally puppies. So I don't have one go-to. But yeah, I actually try really hard to stay off of all the news outlets, because it is a hard time out there. So I just keep my heart and my head focused on and my stomach on the things that make me happy, which are food. Food and
I love
puppies.
that. Who doesn't love food and puppies? If you don't love food and puppies, we can't be friends. So, Anthony, what's a good one you follow?
Well, you know, I do. We talk about news and tuning in and tuning out. I think usually around 10 o'clock at night, I got to get my brain off of what's occurred in the prior 12 hours. And so I'll typically try to find comedians or just like YouTube old sitcom clips for a while, because it's so unrelated to all the stuff I heard earlier in the day. It'll help me tune out. But I'm a big believer in Patrick Lencioni and also Brene Brown. And I just got to listen to her Day 2 podcast. I don't know if anyone heard it, but I'm not getting any stipend. But I thought it was really interesting to say her Day 2 take on, we're in the middle of this now, right? The early part of spring was setting up the plot and the story, and now we're in the middle of, you know, all of those characters in our book this is the darkest moment of the book, right? And yet we know the book's going to end, and we know we're going to come through the other side. And so keep pushing through that. And so I really thought her words were positive, and I've been thinking about them a lot the last couple of days to say, you know, we will finish this book, and hospitality and events will be great on the other side. And this is just a journey and a path that, you know, my grandmother, Greek word for grandmother is yaya, my yaya, told me stories about the Great Depression, right? We will tell our grandkids about how we survived this time, and we remodeled our businesses, and we pivoted to establish a different world today and got more prepared for the future. And knowing that day is going to come, and how we react and how we lead through this and what stories we want to tell, I think is hopeful for me.
Good. I love that side. Andrea, do you have an account that you follow that's positive and uplifting?
Yeah, the first one I thought about is an account called We the Urban, and it's actually all quotes and positive affirmations. So I don't necessarily find my positivity in people right now, if I'm being 100% honest. And so I really enjoy the positive affirmations and just quotes that I can use daily to remind myself of a more positive way of living.
I love that. That is a perfect way that we can start to wrap this up, because you guys, we've already been talking for an hour. I feel like that just flew by. I got a little warning, like, you guys are about to be cut off soon because you just like to gab. But it was fantastic, and I think you all have really good input and resources. I'm excited to go click through the ones that I'm not yet aware of and learn more about them, the ones that you mentioned throughout all of this. So I know we'll see those on social media, and I'm going to watch the playback of this again because that's going out to everyone as well, just to get some of these. So we'll post all those. We'll link them so anyone that wants to follow along on Instagram or anywhere, that you are absolutely able to. Is there any words anyone would like to leave us with, a positivity quote or anything before we jump in and talk up what's coming up next for us? You've got it, my friend.
So the thing that's in my mind right now is that we are all creative people. We're in this business because we're creative, we're resourceful, we're all about relationships. And up until now, we've all been in these silos. You're a PR person, you're a marketing person, you're a promotions person, you're an event person. And I think this industry needs today, from all of us working together, is problem solvers. I think that what we are today have gone from event planners to problem solvers. And I think we have a great opportunity to do great things if we have that mindset.
I follow the Event Strong hashtag, the Hospitality Strong, and I love seeing how innovative we all are, how innovative our industry is, how we come together on this side. And I sincerely hope at the end of all of this that we do come out as a much kinder, stronger, just humanity overall for all of our sake. So I do want to thank our partners again for today. Red Element, you guys were awesome to work with for the streaming side. Thank you for all of that. Project Bionic doing all the social and keeping everyone up to date. I've been seeing you clicking along and making sure that you're resharing everything. 425 Business and also South Sound Magazine. Those are the media partners. Love this from Evo3. Don't forget you can buy your mugs. There is a little link. If you're not sure where that is, they can drop it in the chat box, I'm sure. That will benefit Search Foundation. Search, again, is for event professionals by event professionals. If you are in crisis, you can text NWES to 44321 and make a donation to the Search Foundation. This was part one of the 4-part series that Northwest Event Show is putting on for you. There is an upcoming event, so mark your calendars now. Make sure that you get signed up. October 14th, same time for everybody. It's or 11 a.m. actually. This one is. It's Together We Rise. The panel for this is so fantastic, and they're going to talk about really where we're at in October and how they're overcoming and just rising us all up together. And that's what we need. So I want to thank Northwest Event Show for putting this all together. Thank you for supporting the Search Foundation. Thank you for having me and this amazing panel. And you guys don't hesitate to reach out. It's just at Kate Pate if there is anything that you need from us. So I know we're happy to answer your questions after the fact. So have an amazing rest of your day, and we'll connect with you soon.